we were just seemingly a few hours ago, as the Flyers are right back, as they say, back on the game, trying to get a win against the St. Louis Blues tonight. What's going on?
It's it's one of those times. Just get right back out there and try it again. This team's been very close these last 3-4 games. They're looking to get over the hump tonight. They got a difficult offense to deal with, but they've got an opportunity. I think Jordan Binnington has been off his game a little bit, and Flyers might be in a position to take advantage. We'll see how it goes. It's like we've been saying a few times this year, it's not necessarily who you play, it's when you play them. And this might be a good time to catch this Blues team. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, in his last 6 games, Jordan Binnington is a record of 2-4-0. He's allowed 28 goals in those games for an average of 4.6 goals per game and a pedestrian, dare I say, 862 save percentage. That is not good. League average about 912, 915.
Yeah.
He's at 862 over his last 6, and Billy Husso has been the much better goaltender from a statistical standpoint for them. And even on the rest, Billy Husso does not get the start. He's got a 936 save percentage in 19 games, 24 games for Binnington on the year, though, 898. So he has not been the same Jordan Binnington that was birthed here in Philadelphia 3 years ago.
Hard to believe that's the last time St. Louis was here. January of 2019, well before all this stuff happened. St. Louis's visit to Philadelphia was wiped out in 1920 because of the pandemic. But it's kind of Blues lore a little bit. Is they came in here in January, they were doing terrible. They were last in the league, and then Jordan Binnington made his debut, shut out the Flyers 3-0. And from there, it was like they took off on a rocket and ended up winning the Stanley Cup. It was quite the Cinderella story. So, it's I don't know how many of those guys. It's probably about 50% turnover at this point for this Blues team.
Only 2 guys, I think, left from that team.
Yeah. So, it's
or no, from the team from that were at the bar.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, I'm looking at the list here. I see a few more now, but they were at the bar definitely. It's a little bit of a deja vu for them, maybe, but it's been a while. It's hard to believe and not hard to believe at the same time, I think.
In his last 6 games, Martin Jones, who's going to get the start tonight, 6 games played, 0-4-2 the record, 22 goals allowed, and an 873 save percentage. But Martin Jones is going on the rare goalie going on a back-to-back in this game tonight. You try and avoid it as much as possible. Why? Because the numbers belie that a goaltender going on the back-to-back has about from a 910 save percentage to an 890 save percentage on the back-to-back. That's what the numbers dictate.
Interesting.
On 0 days rest, it's about an 890 save percentage. On 1 day or more, the average is a 913.
How about that?
That's the kind of stats you get here, Brian. You don't get that anymore.
Ending analysis. Well, this is, again, a situation where Binnington has not been too sharp. He's trying to get his mojo back a little bit. This is a Blues team that is, of all the offense they've been able to put out this year, they're outscoring their opponents by almost 40 goals on the year. Their first period has been their weakest link to this point. Only outscoring opponents 44-40 in the first period of games. After that, it becomes very difficult for an opponent to kind of get a leg in edgewise. So, again, the last time out, Flyers had a great start against a Carolina team yesterday that was coming off the second half of a back-to-back, had some travel involved. They were able to come out and outshoot them 12-2 in the first period. They did not get anything past the goaltender. And so that is that one final step. If they can do that tonight, get off to a good start, they'll put themselves in at least a better position for the rest of the contest.
And they did something against Carolina yesterday that's rarely been done against Carolina. They erased 2 1-goal deficits.
Yeah.
Just to be able to get it to the extra session and eventually losing it in the final minutes of that extra session. And, it's odd because, the things that you consider on a back-to-back are who did you play the day before? Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's about the opponent because they can be more physically taxing against certain teams. And a team like Carolina, that's the case because they roll 4 good lines at you.
Right.
So it's relentless. And even though they were on the back-to-back. And then the other part of it is it an emotional game? And yesterday was. It's a division opponent. And It's a team that you get up for because they're one of the top teams in the NHL. And then coupled the fact that it went into overtime. So it's more emotionally, physically, mentally taxing than a normal game. And that plays a hand when you handicap this game. And then to lose it in disappointing fashion is a tough one to swallow for the Flyers. And, with Jones going back to back too, like I looked at the game yesterday. I went back and watched some of it today. You look at it and you go, okay, well, the Flyers outshot him. It's not about shots. It was about exertion levels. Right. And there was a lot of engagement for him in that game. So I would look at that and go, that's a game that was taxing for the goaltender.
Yeah.
And taxing for him. A lot of the shots came in close. So there's a lot of, lower half engagement and those things. And when you look at that, going in this game in the back-to-back, they obviously don't want to start Kirill Ustimenko and give him his first NHL game in a back-to-back against a team like the St. Louis Blues.
Right. Yeah, that's not really setting him up for success, I don't think. It'd be nice to get a look at him at some point. Who knows? It might become necessary down the line here. Not sure what's going on with Felix Sandstrom, who's just he's been a little bit a little bit injured. I don't think it's a major injury, but he hasn't been available. That's why he's not up right now. I still think no matter what the situation is there, Flyers will probably try to pick up a piece for Martin Jones at the deadline. So we might see him at some point, but this isn't the time to kind of toss him to the Wolves. This is a dangerous Blues team, no matter how you're looking at it. They're a little bit of a strange place in their schedule right now. This is actually the fourth game of a 4-game road trip, but they had an extra day off after the Toronto game. We're not sure if they went back to St. Louis or not, to be honest. They did practice in Philadelphia. They did because they did practice in Philadelphia yesterday. They practiced over at Voorhees while the Flyers were playing here or getting ready to play here. And then they go home after this one. They've got Buffalo, and then they're right back on the road for 4 more. They got to come back east for the New Jersey Metro spin. For some reason, the schedule did line up for them to take that all. I think originally it did. This game was supposed to be played on February 28th. It was supposed to be next week, and that would have given them a 5-game road trip, I think. I don't know where their Chicago game was supposed to be, but they would have gone Philly, Rangers, Islanders, Devils, and they would have gotten them all done and gone back out. Now, because of this rescheduling, they've got to come out here tonight and then go home for 1 game and then come back out for another trip. So it's a bit of a tough spot for the Blues right now, and this is a place where points are important for them too, because that schedule is so kind of sketchy for them right now. They got to get all the points they can, as they make their way through it.
Yeah, and they're trying to secure home ice advantage in the first round. The Minnesota Wild are a point ahead of them and have 2 games in hand. So this is an important game for the Blues, an important 2 points. They're in the 3rd spot in the Central Division. And when we come back, I'm going to tell you, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, I'm going to tell you why this Blues team is equipped to handle it. I'll give you some numbers and also why they're equipped to have a lot of success in the playoffs once again as well. So stay tuned. It's Flyers game day from the East Food Hall, Wells Fargo Center. Brian Smith, Jason Myrtetus back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. All right, we're counting down the minutes. The Flyers Blues here at Wells Fargo Center. Game 3 of an 8-game homestand. Flyers won't be back in action till Saturday, so if they want to end this skid, they do it tonight and have a few days to enjoy it before they'll be back at it coming up Saturday once again here at Wells Fargo Center. But, Bri, the St. Louis team, you look for certain traits in teams you go that are able to handle adversity in schedule, adversity in a series, if it's a 7-game series. And let me give you some numbers regarding the St. Louis Blues, which will indicate that they are a very well-rounded team.
All right.
So we start with goals for per game, games played.
Yeah.
They're 5th in the NHL at 3.53, behind Florida, Colorado, Minnesota, and Toronto. Ahead of the Tampa Bay Lightning, ahead of Carolina, ahead of Calgary. So 5th in the NHL in scoring. That's good.
Yep.
Usually sometimes teams that score a lot give up a lot.
Yes.
Not the case here.
No.
When you look at goals allowed per games played for teams in the NHL, they are now 9th in the NHL, giving 2.76 goals per game, despite Binnington's struggles.
Yeah, that's not bad. And you look a little closer at it, and sometimes you see a number like that, and it's a little bit skewed. Just like say they had a run earlier in the year where they were only giving up like 1.8 or something like that. It sometimes it doesn't quite reflect where they are at this moment. But this is a Blues team that again, year in, year out as of late, really ever since the last time they were here, they have been right on the top of the pile.
Bonafide.
That was I don't recall. I should have looked this up. I don't recall off the top of my head, but Craig Berube had just taken over, I believe, not long before that game.
December,
yeah. So it was a month or so before, and he was, obviously here in Philadelphia, his first head coaching gig in his former town, didn't go as well as he had hoped, and then he was, basically had to work his way back. He ended up with the Chicago Wolves, ended up in the Blues organization working for their American Hockey League team. He was an assistant for a while, and then got another shot, and boy, did he make the most of it.
He won the Cup as an interim, with the tag still on.
Yep.
Didn't want to negotiate during the playoffs for his deal or anything like that.
So, you can tell what he's brought to the table, and, just recently earned himself a 3-year extension in St. Louis. So they're still happy with how things are going with them there. This is, again, a team that really, I think their biggest question mark right now is Jordan Binnington and what's going on with him. But they've got Husso right there ready to go if he doesn't answer the bell, and they're going to be another legitimate threat coming out of the West. They are a potential Giroux trade target at this point. If they add him, who knows?
They add him to an already good power play that's second in the NHL.
Right.
At 20. So they're a top 5 team in scoring. They're a top 10 team, number 9 overall in goals allowed. They're the second-ranked power play in the NHL at 26.9%. You go, okay, that's a lot of really good traits. Their PK must suck. The supermodel's got to have bad feet, right? Not the case. Penalty kill, also good.
Yeah.
They're a team in the NHL right now, 6th on the PK at 84.5%. That is what I call – they don't have a guy on the team that's in the top 40 in scoring in the NHL. And they have all of these numbers. That's a team – that's as well balanced as you will find in the league, and a team that when you get into the playoffs, they can make you pay if you take a penalty. Mm-hmm. They can overcome if they take a penalty. They can score goals and they can defend. This is a really simple game. If you can do all those things well, you're a good team.
And it's exactly why they can, they can go on a run and they can survive, losing the guy or having somebody go cold. Tarasenko wasn't in the lineup last game. He has a 3-game scoring streak coming into this one. Been doing fairly well as of late, but he's been streaky this year. He's back in November, he was going 2, 3, 4 games in a row without a point. But when that happens and you have balance like that, the next guy steps up, and if the first line doesn't have it that night, the second line takes over. They score a ton of goals. Something like that, and that's the key to success in this league, is not relying too much on any one guy. And I think there's no better example than if you take the St. Louis Blues with nobody in the top 40, like you said, and compare them to the Edmonton Oilers, who are
we have two in the top two,
turning it around. But yeah, I mean, top two in scoring for a while. They're out of a playoff spot. So this is a well-constructed, well-rounded group that Doug Armstrong has put together, and they're set to go for the long term. Like any other team, though, you're only as good as your goaltender, right? So, we'll see what happens there.
Well, there was conversation around Billy Huso that they were going to trade him because he's on an expiring contract, and they could get something good for him. But that insurance policy and a run towards the cup with the shaky Jordan Binnington,
right, I'm
sure will change Doug Armstrong's mind in that regard to not deal him, especially deal him in the Western Conference. That would be almost foolish.
Right.
But this is a good St. Louis Blues team that the Flyers are going to see tonight, and they're going to have their work cut out for them. And there's been some changes in the lines and how they will be deployed in this game. Mm-hmm. So we're going to tell you about that when we come back. We are live at the East Food Hall. We'll last break before we get to our final segment, and then we get to the countdown to face-off with Tim Saunders, Steve Coates, and all the first period action. So stay tuned. Brian Smith, Jason Myrtetus. We'll take a time out. We're back after this on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network. Back live at the East Food Hall, Wells Fargo Center. Brian Smith, Jason Myrtetus. Flyers game day, Flyers and Blues. Tim Saunders and Steve Coates. The countdown to face off for first period action coming up. But let's talk about the lines tonight because some pretty significant changes from a day ago. How about this, Bri? Top line for the Flyers. Claude Giroux still at the center position with Cam Atkinson. But how about Big Isaac Ratcliffe on the wing?
You love to see it, don't you? 45th, I think, player in franchise history to have 4 points or more in 7 games, first 7 games in the NHL, all with the team, all in the same season. A few asterisks there, but for the most part, it just tells you that it doesn't happen very often. He's having a great start. You can't get too excited because Brian Propp did that and Eric Lindros did that. But
they have pretty good careers.
So did Mike Manilow. So there's a few guys in there that didn't quite take off, but most of the guys on that list have been serviceable NHLers for a long time. So we were talking about the other night. Isaac Ratcliffe has probably been the most impressive of any Flyers prospect that has gotten the chance here in the big show over the last couple of seasons. Strange as they have been, with guys going up and down on taxi squads and things like that, guys in and out of the lineup over COVID. There's been a lot of next man up situations, and he has really taken the bull by the horns here in the last couple of weeks since his recall from Lehigh Valley. And I'm really excited to see how he does in that situation tonight. He's going to have a couple of the best players in the world on either side of him, but he's also going to be going up on tougher defenses too. So we'll see how that goes for him.
Yeah, so he'll be playing with 2 guys that can get him the puck in any spot in the offensive zone. Second line for the Flyers, Scott Lawton centering Oscar Lindblom, who had a goal yesterday, and Travis Konechny. Then Morgan Frost will be in the middle on the third line with James Van Riemsdyk and Jerry Mayhew. And then Patrick Brown, once again, returned to the lineup yesterday, had a goal as well. He'll center Max Willman and Zach McEwen. D pairs Provorov and Braun, Sanheim and Ristolainen. Yandel and Sealer. Martin Jones gets the start in net for the Flyers. We'll have to see if they make any changes to their special teams, to the power play.
Yeah, keep an eye on that.
Yeah.
Kind of quietly, Travis Konechny has tossed together a 6-game scoring streak here. He has tied a career high with that. So he's been very solid as of late. Obviously, he was kind of stuck for a while in terms of goal scoring, but he's seems to be getting that back a little bit. Konechny, of course, was an all-star the last time the Blues were here, basically, a couple of weeks after that.
Yeah.
And since then, hasn't gone the way he'd hoped. It's been a couple of strange seasons for Travis Konechny, and the potential is still there. You're just waiting to see it take off, and hopefully this is perhaps the start of him returning to that form.
It's interesting because in Mike Yo's post-game press conference yesterday, Charlie O'Connor asked him a question about not getting the desired results, despite the fact that the process and the play has been much better. And Mike Yo said that he believes the Flyers are at a tipping point right now in terms of changing the culture, playing well enough to win, becoming harder to play against, but not getting the results and can't fall back into the bad habits in spite of that. And, you're in a situation where you've lost 5 straight games. And, the last 3 in particular against really good teams, and they've been there to grab the win, but just haven't been able to grab it. It's like elusive. It's like it's on a fishing line with $1 at the boardwalk, and somebody keeps reeling it in every time you go bend over to pick it up.
Yeah.
That's what a win feels like for this group right now. In this back-to-back situation, against a tough opponent again, it's going to be interesting to see how much energy they have in this game.
It is a certain, I don't know, it's a very strange situation I feel like the Flyers are in right now because, the by and large, the reason they're in the position they are is injuries. It's not, things going off the rails. It's not poor performance. It is largely driven by injuries. And so when you are in a situation like that, there is only so much that you can do in terms of changing, the personnel and asking guys to bear down. And it's not like the Flyers were in when we were talking about this, 3 months ago when we thought they were stressing out, squeezing their sticks, stuff like that. That's not what this is. So it's kind of a hard situation to evaluate and figure out the best way out of it. But what Mike Yo is getting at there is, I think, is that, the Flyers did have a coaching change, in case you forgot, back in December, which seems like forever ago. And they decided to make some changes to how they were attacking things. And, for the most part, those changes have been derailed by the injuries. But, now that the personnel is getting a good amount of time working on this is, again, we've talked about this being not a very demanding month for the Flyers because of the schedule changes with the Olympics and all that. 8 games in just about 4 weeks, so they've got a lot of practice time and all that, and they're right there. They're right there in terms of making this making a charge here over the rest of the season. Not that it's probably going to get him back into a playoff spot, but at least coming out and being a tough team to play against every night for the teams that are trying to get there.
A couple of stats from Alex Appleyard on Twitter. He put out that Konechny under Mike Yeo, Lindblom, and Sanheim. Konechny on a 63-point pace under Mike Yeo.
Yeah.
Lindblom a 50 and Sanheim a 47. Sanheim's got 50 even strength points in 26 games under Yeo, sixth amongst NHL D-men in production over that same period of time. So certainly getting more from other guys, and there's been a lot of tweaks and a lot of teaching and a lot of changings and details to the game.
Right.
That Mike Yeo has really been preaching, and he said he's shown more video this year than ever before. But we'll see how that fares against the Blues, a very good hockey team here today. Tarasenko returning as well. It is Martin Jones versus Jordan Binnington, Flyers Blues. Stay tuned. Tim Saunders, Steve Coates. They've got the countdown to face off, all the first period action from the Wells Fargo Center as the homestand continues. You've been listening to Flyers Game Day on the BetRivers.com Flyers Broadcast Network.